4.
Is it four? All right,
Hmm.
whatever episode it is, we're live. Anthony, Kevin, good morning, Vietnam. Currently in Vietnam. Anthony,
Hey guys.
Mexico. So we're here with you globally. And so today we are actually talking during a meeting about why most people just don't close the sale. And it's not what you probably think. It's not the closing ability. It's not, using psychological manipulation tactics that increase conversions, which although it works sometimes, it's really the stuff that comes on the front end. You got to talk to prospects to be able to close them. So, um, Anthony, you were saying something pretty interesting earlier. You said that a lot of people just lack the accountability and responsibility. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I meant by that is you really have to take accountability to get on sales calls. Now, there is a strong temptation to just, take a sales position and say, hey, I'm here to do sales. I just want people to show up to my calls. That's one way of doing sales, but in my opinion and experience, that's the lazy man's way of doing sales. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people schedule appointments and maybe they've forgotten that they've scheduled an appointment. Maybe they start to have cold feet. Maybe they think, hey, maybe this is not for me. It's your job as a sales rep, as a closer, to convince them of the benefit of not only hopping on the sales call with you, but also convincing them that your product or service can benefit them so much that they're willing to invest into your product or service. If you can't even get them on the phone call, then good luck getting them to pay for your service. And in my
Yep.
experience, the people who have taken the responsibility to look at their calendar for the day, call their contacts, and really make sure that they're showing up to that meeting, those are the people that generally do the best.
Yep, exactly. And sometimes people, I feel like they think that a sales position is basically being an order taker. So they go on these calls and they just expect that it's a layup sale, which is a total misconception of what sales is.
Yeah, absolutely. And if the sale was that easy, first of all, you probably would not have a job because we could just bypass the closer position, or we could send them a link to the landing page where they could close a deal. The fact that you do have that position means there is that extra step required, means there is that last piece of convincing, conveying knowledge, showing the benefits of your service or product before your client decides whether or not they want to invest there. And the main thing really is to just showcase the benefit. Why should somebody invest their hard-earned dollars into you?
Yep, for sure. And so, I mean, let's talk a little bit about appointment setting and also sales and what the main thing, like the different roles are.
Yeah, so the different roles in sales is the first one is you have the SDR, the appointment setter. Okay, that's the person who's responsible for finding people who are interested in attending that sales call. Okay, so whether that be through cold call, cold email, DMing, these are all methods of ways you can reach out to people who may or may not know you so that you can introduce your offer, talk about some benefits, maybe showcase some case studies and testimonials to get them interested enough to hop on that free sales call. Now, I wouldn't call it a sales call. I'd call it a consultation. I'd call it a discovery call. I'd call it, a strategy session. Whatever it is, you probably don't want to use the word sales in there. That does raise a lot of defenses. Now, the closer's job is to hop on that call. Well, first of all, before they even hop on that call confirm that lead, make sure that they're showing up to the meeting, then convey the benefits of what they're offering to that client. Okay,
Yep.
convey, convince, and then negotiate a deal that works for both parties. And if
I'm gonna
everything
I'm
is
gonna
done, yep,
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt here, and something to recognize as well is that this is something we talk about all the time. That closers want the best leads, the best qualified leads, that they can just talk to and then just close immediately. And the thing there is that this if they're already on that call, they've already expressed interest in talking about the offer, right? And so That's something that a lot of people get confused about. It's, like, I want them already to be sold and pre-sold, but the job there of the closer, or sorry, the appointment setter, isn't to get them 90% of the way there. Their job is just to get you in front of more people. The more opportunities that you get, the more the more conversations that you're going to get, and the more closes you're going to get as well. You can't, if let's say, if, for example, a setter sets 100 appointments, or sorry, let's say they set a certain amount of appointments, and the closer wants them to be, you know, 100% qualified. They're ready to go right away. You're only going to get a small segment of that. So let's say like 5 or 10 of them, and you'll close maybe like 3 or 4 of them. But the thing there, it's always a numbers game with sales. If you get an appointment setter to get you in front of 100 people, you're going to have much more opportunities, and you're more likely going to be able to close much more than 3 or 4 of those sales. You're probably going to close at least 20% of those people there if you're a good closer.
Yeah,
Not sure if those
absolutely.
numbers, I mean, if that makes sense there, but you get what I mean, right?
Definitely. And if you're only willing to speak to the people that you know 100% are going to close, you're not going to speak to that many people. And sure, that may be great for your success rate. You may feel like you're saving a lot of time, but ultimately you are missing out on money because there are those people where they say, hey, you know what? I'm not 100% convinced, but I'll hop on this call to see, what you guys have to offer. Now, some people, some closers may look at that and be like, if they hear that on a call recording or they see that in the notes, they're like, I'm not showing up to this call. There's no way I'm wasting my time there. But what you don't know is that if you go through your presentation, that person who might have just been interesting or shopping around, you might actually show them something that really piques their interest and gets them
Exactly.
excited. And if you're unwilling to take those calls, you're never going to convert those people there. And a lot of people think sales is just, this one call close. It's not. There's a lot of relationship building there. There's a lot of hand holding. There's a lot of follow up to make sure that not only does the person believe in your product, but they like you and they feel like you're somebody who's actually out for their best interest and not just trying to sell them to make a commission.
Yep, exactly. And it's just the best visualization is just, a funnel really. Like if you are only willing to talk to somebody who um, says that they have, A-line credit, they have $100,000 in the bank account, the funnel is much, much smaller. But yeah, just like what you said there, you'd be surprised by the amount of people who end up doing business with you who initially just said that they wanted to get information. Because people nowadays, it's much different now since they have so much more information out there, that they just want to, get information about the product or service, right? And if you only qualify them based on finances and you ask them, hey, how much money do you have for this? Do you have at least $10,000 for this? Um, it's going to give a lot of people sales resistance, and it's going to really make them not want to hop onto that call. It's going to reduce the amount of sales opportunities that you get, because it's going to reduce the amount of conversations that you get on as well.
Oh, definitely. You always want to make sure that you're building the value before you price drop. That's a big philosophy I go
Yep.
by. Um, you know, a prime example is if I was to say, for example, sell you a mouse for your computer. If I just told you, hey, this mouse is $10,000, you'd probably say, no way am I paying $10,000 for a mouse. But if we were to hop on a sales call and I showed you how this mouse can make it so that you never run the risk of getting carpal tunnel syndrome. It's going to cure cancer and it's going to make you 10 pounds lighter. If I'm able to convey all those things to you, as far fetched as they may sound, if I'm able to show you all those benefits, then it makes it a lot more understandable why that mouse costs $10,000 compared to if I was just like, here it is, it's $10,000. Do you have the budget for this or not? Of course, you're going to say
Hmm.
no to that.
Yep. There's ways around it too, because obviously you don't want to talk to people who are unemployed, who don't have money coming in. So there's other ways to financially qualify. And so some questions that you can include just to make sure that you're talking to somebody who has money is just seeing if they have a job, what kind of, just simply asking them what they do for work. You already have a sense of how much money or income they make, and you're able to see if they'd be a good fit to be able to afford your program.
Absolutely. And also, if you want to become a very accountable closer, or if you want to be somebody who's just very talented, just be willing to hop on anybody, to speak with anybody who's interested enough to hop on a sales call with you. You know, if somebody's
Exactly.
unemployed but they like your product or service enough, they'll find the money to get it, whether it be digging into their savings, whether it be getting a loan. Now, this is not to say to maliciously sell people something, but
Hmm.
like I said, if you have something that somebody really wants, they're going to make sure that they have the funds to get that.
Yep. It makes me having this conversation makes me think of the days when I was doing door knocking, and it makes me think of, before we would go into a neighborhood when we were selling telecom, telus, if you know what that is, internet and TV, we would do marketing first. So before a neighborhood, we would send out flyers, give pamphlets, and have our phone number in there. And so let's say out of 1,000 people that you send pamphlets to, we'll get like 1 or 2% of them actually calling, and that'd be a very interested lead who you could just go out there and sell right away.
Yep.
Now, if we relied on that sort of sales opportunity and just that sort of lead generation, we wouldn't get much business at all. The amount of business that we got and the most of the sales came from us actually doing the outreach and taking the initiative to go out there and start those conversations.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And it all comes down to the fact of you don't want to rely on just closing what we call the low hanging fruits or the layups. You know, if
Exactly.
you're waiting for that, yes, they will come. You will have a high close rate, but you're never going to have the volume that you should have. Say, for example, somebody who waits for demos to show up rather than somebody who cold calls in between their meeting. Sure, one is expending a lot more energy, but the other one is going to get a lot more results. It's undeniable. There's never been in the history of sales somebody who's, just waited for things to happen who outperforms somebody who is a go getter. That person will
Exactly.
always outperform even the most skilled person just being lazy.
You want to have both coming in. You want to have the incoming leads, inbound leads coming in, where it's good and reliable, and over time you'll get them. But you want to be able to uh, you want the outbound leads where you're doing outbound calls just to generate pipeline
Yeah,
consistently,
and
and that's
and
that's
I'll,
where
I'll tell you
and more.
the true secret behind that. If you get good at doing outbound calls and convincing people, cold prospects, completely cold prospects, why they should not only hop on a call but buy your product, then think of how much easier it is to convince somebody who's already seen you online, who opts in by themselves and who raises their hand and tells you, "Hey, I do have this problem." You're going to be
Exactly.
that much more persuasive.
Yep. And just to take this into like a dating example here, it's like if you're a good looking dude, you're gonna get some girls coming to you towards you, actually like approaching you. But if you don't have like that cold approach ability to like go out there and make interactions happen, it's just like, yeah, you don't really have a skill set at all.
Definitely. And going out there saying approaching a stranger is going to make it so that if somebody actually likes you and approaches you, you're going to know what to do compared to if you're just sitting around all the time waiting for something to fall in your lap. It really applies to many things in life. And the generally what I find, mostly in sales, but in anything in general, the more you put yourself out there, the more chances you get, the more chances you get, the more opportunities you get to convert.
Exactly. All right, man. So just wrapping up, went over quite a few things there. If you found that beneficial, write in the comments there what you got useful there, what insights you got from this. Anything else you want to add?
The last thing I'd want to add is remember that sales is important, but keep in mind that a lot of it is pipeline, creating pipeline and hatching your pipeline. So don't
Yep.
don't become too frustrated if things don't happen right away. Understand that people take time to think. They do need to consult with others. If you're relying only on a one call close, you're going to be not as successful as you could be if you are patient. And by all means, if they're ready to close in one call, get the job done. But if it doesn't, don't get too frustrated. Be willing to hop on more calls. Be willing to build value. Be willing to show that you're going to be there with them every step of the way, and your results are going to drastically increase. I promise you that.
Yep. Exactly. It's sort of like instant gratification versus delayed gratification there. If you're able to,
Definitely.
like I'm happy to take the one call close if they're ready, and
Yeah,
like I'm not gonna say no to that. But if you're only taking those opportunities and closing them, you're leaving a whole bunch of money on the table by not following up with leads, not nurturing relationships, and um, taking business later.
definitely.
Awesome. All right, cool, man. Wrapping up here. That's it.